Good morning, everyone. My name is Said, and I am founder of IAD, Initiative for Educational Development. And part of what we do is research and develop programs for education and students from low-income communities. And part of some of the work that we do again is trying to engage with different communities to see how we can do community development, how we can promote sustainability, and just have people be more aware of every like day-to-day issues that we're having. And that's why we established the community sessions, which is basically just like a session for people to come together, put ideas together, have discussions of some of the problems that we're facing and how we can solve them, and sometimes just have fun sessions. So, obviously, because 2020 is a very different year, we have the COVID-19 pandemic, so we can't put anyone's life at risk. So we can't do any physical community session for the time being. So this is the first community session that we're doing online, and people will be available to watch. So I thought it would be an interesting way to have a number of very intelligent, very hardworking young ladies in STEM to have a discussion about the work that they do. And just introduce yourself and talk about the things that you do your day to day.
Hi everyone, my name is Asma Aliyu and I'm a software engineer. Uh, my day-to-day involves basically leading a team of engineers at Koamana. So Koamana is one of my jobs, I would say. Yeah. Koamana is a startup. I would say yes, it's a startup, and we do a bit. I can't go into the details of what we do right now, but basically, my day to day involves managing the engineering team, making sure we build products that are useful to the market, making sure we engage stakeholders in the process of building our application, and making sure we give out usable products. And until recently, I also became an engineer at Andela. So that's also one of my activities for the day. And getting into actually what I do is I write code. It's what I do. I write code from morning till night. I write code to do things on computer. I write code to make softwares do things that I want them to do and work in the browser. Yes, because I'm a full stack developer. I code both front end and back end and database admin. And as a team lead, I also manage a team. So it there's a lot involved in my day to day, managing a team, in making sure you build a product that's useful, and in making sure you meet the expectations of the clients. So it's an exciting job. I love what I do. I'm absolutely. I think saying I love what I do is an understatement. I'm completely in love with what I do.
All right. So the next person who wants to talk, Iman Munira, who wants to take us through
I can go.
what you do.
So my name is Munir Ogumi, and I work as a project manager with Siemens Energy. Um, so going into my daily activities, so basically we manage, rather we offer gas turbines to our customers. It ranges from um, selling those gas turbines and providing modifications and upgrades for those gas turbines, and also servicing them as well. Because usually you find that a customer would have a gas turbine for so many years, so it's more like a service based business, as opposed to selling those gas turbines. Um, what else? So I do manage the project from start to finish. So these projects range from either a modification or a gas turbine coming in to be serviced, and taking it through from start to when we deliver to the customer as well. Um, and yeah, that's pretty much it.
Yeah, I definitely would love to. I'd love to say I love everybody's background, just learning about gas turbines. I mean, I've not heard, I knew Siemens was in that space, but it's like, it's good to also hear about it. You know, they're so wide in an organization. So that's awesome. And Asma was such a hustler, man. She's just like, this is one of my jobs. Like, this is the one of my jobs that I can't tell you about, but I'm also doing like 500 things. That is awesome. So my background is in biomedical engineering. Time I worked in delivery management within healthcare for a technology company. So what I do is I work within their data science or their AI team, and I'm responsible for overseeing the delivery of predictive modeling and machine learning projects that are targeted towards improving clinical trials for oncology research, among sort of other diseases that we work with. So it's definitely very exciting, definitely very meaningful work. I think my day-to-day sort of changes. A lot of it is project management, sometimes product management, research, just depending on what they want to give us at that time. Now that we're working on like COVID-19 projects, it's just honestly like all hands on deck. So it's definitely very exciting, but it just touches on, I guess, technology as well as just research and science from that standpoint.
That's good. That sounds interesting. So, essentially, what you do is kind of like time specific. So, from what I understand, so you go from like different projects, from one project to the next, depending on what's happening. So, right now we're in COVID situation. So, whatever it is that you're doing, you're applying it to that.
The organization I work for is a big organization, but the data science team is still a startup type space. So it's sort of like, like the projects that I select, I can talk to my manager and be like, oh, I'm not feeling this. Can I shift to something else or whatever? But I think, yeah, he's a nice person, to be honest. But most of the time, it's just like this is what is I guess this is what's available from that standpoint. But it's not cool. The only reason I'm on COVID is because somebody's on holiday. So I'm not trying to say that I want to work with COVID. Our senior medical director's on holiday, so I'm supporting that effort. But other than that, but it's interesting work. I'm not going to complain. So I'm not going to complain myself.
Okay. Now, starting as small, how long have you been coding? How early in your life did you know like that this is definitely what I want to get into?
Well, I would say I've been writing code since 2013. So that's like 2012. So that's like 8 years. But I never really knew I wanted to be a software engineer. I mean, I went to university, I studied software engineering, and it seems like that would be the obvious course after you study software engineering to become a software developer. But I never really had interest like that. Also because I went to university very, very young. I always go back to that because I attribute a lot of my experiences to that because I went straight from secondary school, from a boarding school, not a very, like, you don't really have a lot of opportunity to figure out what you want to do, and you were just thrown into a higher institution and you're expected to figure it out. And well, coming from my own background, I come from a very computer savvy family. My dad is an engineer as well. So I grew up around computers. Computers have always been in my life since I can walk, I would say. I grew up and I saw a computer in our house and I was expected to learn how to use it. So that was a dominant factor in my decision. So when I went to secondary school, I was like, okay, I love computers. I know how to do this. I would go into software engineering. And I went into software engineering. I went through my 4 years degree program without really knowing what I wanted to do. I always loved to write. I think that's something I and Said have in common. I always thought I would become a writer because I enjoyed writing. I love reading. I love writing. But after my 4 years degree program, I was expected to build my capstone final project. And during that process, I actually started basically learning from afresh. And then I realized, this is something interesting. I actually want to do this some more. So I went through my capstone project by myself. I enjoyed working on the project. Then after that, I signed up for my master's program. So during that process, my master's program was interesting because we had night classes only, 7 p.m. to 10 p.m. So I had this free time during the day, and I decided, okay, I would get a job. And then I applied for a writing job with this software company. But when I got there, they realized I had a software engineering degree, and they also had a product they wanted to build. And they were like, look, we're not going to give you a writing job. We're going to give you an engineering job. So you're going to have to figure this out. I was skeptical at first because that wasn't my intention. I knew how to write. I didn't know how to build software, even though I had experience from working on my final project. But I decided, okay, what the hell? I might as well do this scene as I do have the background knowledge. So I started learning, started researching, and that was in 2013. And it has been a very interesting journey since then. I realized I really, really enjoyed doing that. I wanted to build more softwares. I wanted to learn more about computer programming and not just web applications. I became more interested in artificial intelligence, data analysis, a lot of things, embedded systems. And it's a really, really, I mean, saying you are into computers is one thing, but it's a broad industry. It's a broad, computers are, I mean, even the components of a computer, when you think about it, it's comprised of so many interesting things. And closing off yourself into just one aspect, and that's like web development, for me, it was really limiting. And I realized it became boring at some point and I wanted to do more. So I started learning more, and every day is a learning experience, honestly, because every day I'm learning things I didn't know about yesterday. So I'm still learning. It's been 8 years since I've been doing this, but I'm still learning. It's really cool.
I can feel the passion from everything that you're saying. On a serious note, that's very good. You've said a lot of things that I want to unpack, but I want to allow other people to talk as well, especially things that you spoke about, embedded systems and stuff like that. I want to touch on that and AI as well, but we'll get to that. So we'll have like Iman also take us through the process, like what got you into what you're doing. I know that you switched careers, like a bit from what you studied is quite different from what you're working on now. It's all within STEM, but then it's kind of a different type of STEM. So I want you to take us through like what got you into what you were studying then, and the transition to where you're at now.
Yeah, thanks. Definitely thanks for that. And thanks, Asma, for sharing. That was awesome. It's very exciting. So I started off pre-med. So when I decided to go to university, I was very confident I was going to do medical school. There was nothing that was going to stop me. I was very passionate. I was very determined. When I had applied for medical school, I was applying for medical school in the Gulf. I didn't get into the program that I wanted to. So my brother that was in the US doing his PhD at that point in time just said, hey, consider the US. So I got in to the schools that I applied to. I started with biochemistry. I was still taking pre-med classes. And the way the US is set up is you can change your degree depending on, like, as long as you take the classes you want for medicine, it's fine. So I was like, biochem was easy the first year. Let me challenge myself a little bit more. I'll take engineering. Biomedical engineering will make me more competitive. So when I started taking engineering courses, I just started disliking the other, like physiology or microbiology, like all the heavy memorization type courses. So engineering started becoming more of an interest. And as I started building out, the school that I went to had a program, had a co-op program. So you get to have at least 18 months of work experience before you graduate within the 5 years of your degree. So you get to do full-time jobs, get paid. You're balling when you have a job in university, like you're making money, you know? So those experiences, I sort of stepped into technology. That was like my transition internally. And after I graduated, I started building up more experience in technology. So I started off not knowing anything in the space, and just like every single job I've had since I've graduated. So I've been working for 4 years now. Every job has been new. So like data science, I only joined data science last year. It's been 1.5 years now. So I attribute a lot of it to just communication and interview skills, but like once you get the job, then you figure it out. But what I do love about, I guess, what I'm doing right now is that it's a really good integration of staying in the healthcare space where you feel like you're adding value to people and you're solving problems, but using innovative methods, right? So like healthcare has traditionally been very behind when it comes to technology. And the team that we're working on right now is like, how can we flip a switch on that, right? So like you're taking, you have these pharmaceutical companies, COVID is an example, right? But they're all trying to build these drugs, right? And for cancer research, it takes forever for you to get drugs on the market, at least in the US, right? It could take 10, 15 years. But if you get it on the market, you're balling, like you're really well off. So the product that the team that I'm working on, or we're leading, is we use historical data, so historical clinical trial data. And the big headache here is we use basically machine learning to standardize these data sets, right? So you're getting all these large data sets, you're trying to figure out how to standardize it, and then use statistical analysis for insights to help some of these pharmaceutical companies, I guess, develop a synthetic outcome rather than testing it on patients. So the work that we're doing is very novel. They're almost the first in the market to try and bring this to sort of the space. So it's really exciting in the sense that like you can develop skills as you're building out your career, and then you kind of figure out ways to solve problems, right? So like if you need to learn how to code, there are classes that you can do that, right? There's like online courses, 10, 11-week programs, and you can start off making like a good 6-figure income, at least here, without even a bachelor's degree. So there's a lot of opportunities, at least to say, in technology, but I think my like lessons learned is just adaptability throughout my career. And I think that lesson is just like ongoing post like my current experience right now as well.
I think generally speaking, globally as well, in every career that you choose, especially in 2020, you have to learn to be very dynamic. You can't be very static in terms of all those things. Munira, you talk to us about what got you into the course that you studied, the work that you do now. Like, did you transition between the two courses, and what inspired that transition and getting into
Well, right from the start, right from secondary school, I knew I wanted to be an engineer. So I went ahead and studied electrical electronics engineering for my bachelor's degree. I've been set on that, from the start all through, up until when I did my master's in engineering and management. And I thought, you know what, like it's not so bad to get into the management aspect, even though, in the engineering sector, that would sort of like give me a better versatility, I would say, because, being an engineer, if you're working for, a particular organization, you would sort of be a specialist in that, as opposed to, I mean, moving industries would be a bit more complicated. So hence the project management career path.
Going from you being, you said
Electrical electronics engineer.
Engineer, studying that, and then going into management, the management aspect of engineering. Like, what inspired that? Like, how did you know that you want to work for Siemens, for example?
So going back to the transition. So I did my bachelor's degree in Nigeria, now Turkish University, which is in Abuja. Then came to the UK to study my master's degree. So usually the tradition is, finish school, go back to Nigeria, get a good job. Obviously we know how the process is. And life goes on basically. But for me, I thought, going back to Nigeria, I wouldn't probably have, the challenge that I would want to sort of, or rather I wouldn't be challenged in, either the engineering or, being a project manager aspect of things, because obviously we know how, the government work is in Nigeria. So, when I was finishing my dissertation, I decided to sign up for, or rather apply to jobs over here. Luckily for me, when I finished my dissertation, I got called for an interview. That was when I went back to Nigeria. I got called for an interview. I got interviewed 2 weeks later, got the job, and I started a month or two after my graduation. Going back to the question, why Siemens? So moving countries is, a very, very massive decision, right? Like, it's not easy. And, I thought if I'm not going to work for a multinational company, I'm not gonna, make that massive move, because obviously, working for a multinational company, you get a lot of opportunities because, as you know, Siemens is very big and broad, right? It's got like different
sectors and
sectors, exactly, different sectors. So hence, that made the decision of, choosing Siemens and making, that decision of moving to another country easy. And going to the project management aspect of things, like I mentioned earlier, due to the whole being able to fit into anywhere, right? That's a decision that's like a driving decision, I would say.
And this brings us to the end of the first part of this community session, Women in STEM. Thank you for listening, and we hope you join us in the next episode. Thank you.